Hey everybody, my name is Rachel Gayle and I am one half of Essential Firstfruits. Today I'm going to tell you all about the concept of reverse mapping, also known as being very strategic with how you are placing your volume. All great entrepreneurs know that you start with a plan. Have a target so you know you're moving in a strategic direction. About 6 months ago, I became aware of a pretty big problem. I was not keeping track at all of any of our volume when it came to our organization. At the beginning of the month, I would log in and oftentimes realize in complete shock that we were extremely close from reaching a rank. It was so devastating to know. But I had no way of really tracking anything, and it was just pure chaos, which made me not ever want to do it. My system was I would log in every once in a while, grab a pad of paper, try to sift and weed through the organization and figure out which were my, legs that were going to get me some rank, and then try to see, is this even possible? And most of the times I would just shrug my shoulders and be like, I don't know. It was just completely overwhelming. And also, because it was on paper, I would end up losing it all the time. And any efforts that I did put into trying to be organized were in vain, as I would search for the paper and then just have to restart again. Can you see why I just never did it, right? It was so frustrating. When I had complained probably for the 5th or 6th time to Michael about the fact that we were this close to the next rank, he had the idea to get a big whiteboard. And we would just hang it on our wall and we would just write in, exactly where everyone was at and keep track of it so that when we had a new enrollment, we knew where to put them. Well, naturally, I loved the idea, but not his idea of just drawing on it. I had to fancy it up a little bit. I grabbed some vinyl and my trusty Cricut and made some great labels that I'm about to share with you today. And this is how we have been organizing our structure for the past 6 months, and it has made a tremendous difference. No longer are we constantly having to just scramble to figure out where to place somebody and try to sift and sort through and hope we made the right decision. No longer are we missing out on bonuses or rank advancements or anything like that simply due to negligence. We are very much more organized, it's very much more systematic, and it leads to something that is exciting to get to track and put your numbers in. In gifting our labels to our frontline leaders and just posting about it randomly, we found that a lot of other wellness advocates were having this exact same problem. So now I do offer these labels for sale, and you can contact me about that, separately, but I would love to help you out with an organizational system. You, of course, can definitely just take the idea and write on your whiteboard or do something like that as well. It is totally up to you. I'm not saying that this system will for sure work for you, but what I am saying is please learn from us. Figure out something that will work. You can create an Excel spreadsheet. You can create a piece of paper that you know where it lives at all times. You can dedicate an entire notebook to it or just something. The point is to come up with a system that works for you so that you are not frantically wondering where you stand month to month to month. If you're serious about achieving doTERRA ranks and then receiving the compensation, then you need to treat this as a serious business and get organized. Why focus on the numbers? Because numbers don't lie. They're very practical and they can really help you to understand where you are at. All right, so let me show you just a little bit about what I do on a month-to-month basis. So you always want to start with your rank goal. You should actually start to prepare for your rank goal the month prior to the first, okay? So you're kind of projecting 2 months in advance and you always have an idea of where you're going. That 60-day goal is very crucial because oftentimes what you try to accomplish within 30 days simply won't cut it. It's not enough time. But if you give yourself a 60-day goal, then you can start to make and put these things into motion that can help you to better achieve your goal. For the purpose of this demo, I'm gonna say that since this is Silver Club after all, that our rank goal is the rank of silver. Now the current rank is just exactly where you're at right now. So if this were the first, I would put nothing, right? although a lot of the orders do go through on the 1st. But you can start to begin tracking. Really, the first one that I tend to write up there is executive. Once I have reached that 2,000 overall volume. Oh, we went up to elite, so I'll erase executive and write elite, and so on and so forth. So let's say for right now that our current rank is premier. And then this new category is where I just like to keep track of new enrollments. I think it's something that's exciting. I can kind of track how our team is doing collectively. Are we averaging about the same? Hopefully we're steadily rising and watching those enrollments grow as we gain new wellness advocates onto our team. Or have our numbers dipped, and then I can kind of evaluate why. And then your promos is where you're gonna keep track of promotions, right? So always start with what doTERRA is offering. I like to write in the product of the month here. I will write what the 10% product off is. And then I will also keep track of whatever other promotions they have, like a New Year, New You, maybe a frankincense promo for that month of December, whatever it is that they're offering. I will just, and I don't write it out. These are for you, right? So I just give myself my own little code words to keep track of what the promos are. Now, something besides the doTERRA promos is, of course, Silver Club promotions. So that's something that we'll be going over and that you can, look into is what the incentives are being offered for Silver Club. This next section is just where you take note of your team, right? So I will give you just my example of my actual team members and I'll write them out here. Now, this is totally customizable and sometimes I even switch it up myself. Sometimes I will put what their current rank is right above, just so that I can keep track. I obviously have it listed out what their goal is. I love to just kind of touch base with them and check in and see what their goal is for the month. I think it's important just to have that accountability with each other so that not only are they tracking their own progress, but I can track with them and know if there's anything that I can do to help them. And then of course their OV, what is it currently at? Next, you're gonna write in their team members. This is the part that's kind of fun, completely optional. You can do it however you like. Something that I tend to do is I just track OV. So I will put in whatever they're currently at, and then with a different color, normally red, I put in what they need to be in order for the team member to accomplish what they need to accomplish. Okay, so now that all of the numbers are filled in, we can start to get a better idea of how to use this system to really help us out. So we're assuming that it is the 15th of the month. And as you know from the requirements, we need everything to be fired off LRP-wise by the 15th. That gives you and your upline a better chance at looking into the organization and planning accordingly. It is very, very important when you're building this business to take it seriously and to do that little step. It may not seem like much to some, it may seem like not a big deal, but it really is in the big scheme of things. And it really helps to give you an entire half of a month to plan out accordingly so that you know where to put the rest of your enrollments. So it's the 15th of the month and all of the committed builders have fired off their LRPs, okay? And plus, we're assuming that a few new people have already signed up as well. Well, not just a few, I threw in 8, okay? So it's the 15th, we have 8 new enrollments, we're on a roll. We're doing Silver Club, right? We're excited, we're going, we're trucking. Now, in order for me to be silver, I have to have 9 elites in my organization. But does that mean that I have to build these elites from scratch? No. Again, that's why everyone is firing off their LRPs by the 15th so we have an idea. Because I don't need to personally enroll 18,000 overall volume on my team. Between my efforts and between my team's efforts, we can make this happen so that they can reach their goals and I can reach mine, okay? So with what I'm working with, we see that Abby is currently at 3,600 OV. Okay, she's close, but we know she needs that 5,000 to be considered a silver. So it's in the black, okay? And then what I would do is take a red marker and fill in the difference. Red wasn't working too well, so we went with pink. So we know that she needs 1,400 volume by the end of the month in order to achieve her portion of this. We see that Abby has already signed up 3,000. So that is already checked off the list, so it's in green. But then we see that we have Lana who has 500 and Meg with 100. And so in order for her to reach her goal, do a little bit of math, and there we get a better idea for what we need. Now I'll do it with the rest of them. Now for anyone who's working to Premier, you're in a little bit of a different situation because instead of 3 elite legs, you just need 2 executives, right? So judging off of this organizational volume, we see that she has a leg that's currently at 800, a leg that's at 4, and then another leg that's at 8. So because she's able to see her organizational volume, she can understand that her best interest would be in putting her time and her effort into Sydney and into Linnea to get them up to the 2,000 overall volume so that she can reach her goal of Premier. So obviously the math is a little bit different because we're just trying to get 2,000 here instead of the 3,000 that we're trying to make for the ones who are going silver. Now just a little bit more math. 200 personal volume is the average of a new enrollment. So if I take my number in pink or red, if you have the proper colors, you can now divide this number by 200 to figure out how many enrollments you need per leg. Now that you have those figured out, you can then make the decision if you're going to have that many one-on-ones scheduled in your calendar, or if you're going to figure out what your average enrollment is per class and then schedule that many classes. So let's say you have 10 people that normally show up to a class, half of them enroll, that's 5, right? So then 5 of them would be taken care of per class. So obviously you have to take into account what you actually do. If your class average is that you have 3 that enroll every single time, that's phenomenal. But then you know, okay, I can get 3 of those knocked out for every class that I schedule. So between you as the upline and between your people who still need the volume, you guys can work on figuring out how many classes you can juggle amongst you. Now I also want to point out one more thing. Down here with Catalina's leg, you'll notice that she needs 2,400 volume, right? Which equates to 12 enrollments that she needs in order to go Premier. But in order to get that 5,000 overall volume to really be considered the rank of Premier, she actually needs a little bit more. She needs 3,000. So, you know, this kind of stuff doesn't happen all the time, but it definitely does as well, where you just have to be conscious that these numbers may not always match what you actually need over here. The reason I love this system is because it gives me a lot more ownership and understanding of what is happening within my team organization. My core leaders don't have to worry about having the weight of their organization on them either. I am here to help. I know what current people's schedules look like, or any kind of hiccups that they're currently experiencing, or maybe then they're not able to teach classes for a season of life. Whatever the case may be, that's where I as the leader get to fill in the gaps, and you do too. But the point is, you need to know where your people are if you really want to serve them effectively. And there you have it. A great system, visibility for you and for your team and for your upline, the ability to track what you're doing, the ability to make sure that your efforts are being put towards good use. You can fill up this side with anything that you find beneficial. You can put your affirmations or your goals or the reasons why you share, just to keep things at the forefront of your mind. You can add notes at the bottom. You could do whatever it is that makes sense to you, because after all, that's what this is about. It's about you. Pick a system, get organized, and crush your goals.